I don't think I thought of any specific doctors to base it on to play him for that. I've learnt through bitter experience that I'm an instinctive actor and I should go with my instincts. And if I don't go with my instincts, I usually muck it up a bit. So with Planet of Storms and with Millennium Trap, I did go with my instincts and seemed to hit the nail on the head. So it was very instinctive. But I think there were aspects of Sylvester McCoy's darker, later season Doctor in Millennium Trap. I don't know whether Rob had written it with that in mind, but it seemed, and I think, again, because I said, he was alone, it just struck me, in Millennium Trap, he made sense to have a link with him in that nice scene in The Curse of Fenric, which is one of my favourite scenes of all time in Doctor Who, when he finds the little baby and the lady says to him, "Have you got any family yourself?" And he says, "I don't know," which I thought is a lovely moment, and I think I had that in mind quite a bit with Millennium Trap 1. So yeah, if my Millennium Trap Doctor owes anything to anyone, it's to Sylvester McCoy's darker side of Doctor. But and also appearance-wise, because I had the beard at that time, and I remember we had the read-through, and I had a beard because I was about to play Dr. Watson a few weeks after we'd finished Millennium Trap. So I was going to go have a beard and then go down to a moustache. And I said to Rob, "Do you want me to shave my beard off?" And he said, "Yes, please," because the Doctor used to clean shaven. And someone, I can't remember who it was, but "Oh, I think he looks nice with a beard." And I said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Oh, keep it if you like, doesn't matter." So I kept it, and that became my Doctor sort of trademark. But I think that it was a very full, bushy beard in Millennium Trap. And perhaps that helped with the darkness as well, because he did look a little bit like Brian Blessed's younger brother. And then when I came out to do it on stage, it's kind of different each time. It's a funny part, and if you take it fairly seriously like I do, not so seriously as in what's my motivation and all that sort of stuff, but being someone who's a Doctor Who fan and who cares about it, I think that the third time I did him in Rob's Web of Fear, it was kind of an amalgamation of the two of them. But I was very aware not wanting to be like Patrick Troughton in Web of Fear.
No! No! No!
And then when we did Fury from the Deep, which was a much more active show, I was up ladders and running around scenery and stuff like that, he was a bit more lively. So it was really Fury from the Deep that I finally sort of got my Doctor, I think.
There's not a sign of Van Lutyens! Yes! Oh! My genius! Yes!
Doctor! David! Where's Victoria? I don't know. I came to check on you, and you didn't see her, no?
So Planet Storms, Millennium Trap and Web of Fear were finding my way in a way. Not that I knew each one was coming after it. It wasn't like I was doing a season or a set of stories that I knew were coming. But I suppose he was, first time, second and third time he was different. And then the last three he was more or less the same. So I'd say it was a different Doctor, because I suppose he was a bit of a darker Doctor for me in Millennium Trap, purely because of that being alone and that underplaying it aspect.
Colonel Harvey did indeed make a previous appearance, yes, in a previous episode that Rob had written, a previous story, many years before, I think, about 6 or 7 years before, called The Mephistophelian Affair or something along those lines. You take two words and put them together, it's like that party game, and you get a title. It's like Indecent Exposure or, Bizarre Affinity. That was a great picture, one of Sharon Stone's best. And he appeared in that basically because Rob wanted unit, and unit is one of the ingredients that's fun. It sort of brings a bit of boy's own adventure into Doctor Who. And he was in that. And the thing for me, the whole thing for me about playing that character is I didn't want to be an impersonation of Nicholas Courtney.
A communique from the Hampshire police. It says there's been 4 cases of murder where the victim has been mutilated, apparently by some wild animal.
You're not that far removed with Lethbridge Stewart from those wonderful army officers that John Cleese and Graham Chapman used to create. I mean, I always remember in The Three Doctors, when the whole of a unit has been transported to an alien planet, and he looks out the front door and he says, "I'm fairly sure that's chroma." You know, and wonderful lines like that, which are sort of halfway between Samuel Beckett and Alan Bennett. You know, you can't pay enough for them. So it's very difficult. So I didn't want it to be a sort of pale imitation. I wanted it to be a bit different. So that's where the Welsh accent came in. You know, I thought, if you want to stand out... Nick was talking earlier about how to get the camera to look at you, all these subtle things. My method is an outrageous regional accent. Yeah, I mean, I was thrown out the cherry orchard once for being Irish. And these things happen, but you've got to think about something. So it was really a really sad attempt to try and be a bit different. In my defence, there are Welsh people in my family. I never met any of them. They were dead by the time I was born. But I like to think that the Welsh lilt was in my genes and in the uniform, eventually. Moustaches are interesting beasts. And I didn't grow... At the same time as we were doing this, talking of hair, I was actually on stage, not in Hair, because who wants pity, but in a production of Bloody Poetry, and I was playing the poet Shelley. Now, as everyone knows, romantic poets have big hair and sideburns and this, that, and the other, but he was clean-shaven, which was a problem, because, of course, then I was playing an army officer on the weekends. Anything for the weekend, sir? Yes, a uniform. And suddenly all this hair had to be pushed up into the hat. And had we known I'd be sitting here 12 years later because other people have seen this thing, I would have thought, you know, what can we do about hair? There we are. So the moustache had to be fake. And the previous time we played Harvey, I'd used this crepe wool moustache, which is where you put every single hair individually in place. You get a team of willing people to come and put a hair on each, and then they have to sort of spend the next half an hour getting themselves unstuck from the spirit gum. It's a highly technical operation. But then when you laugh, because you're corpsing, which is de rigueur, bits of it come off, and it looks like you've got selective alopecia. So we thought this time, innovation, we'll use one of those ones you stick on. And it was a bit better than Nicholas Courtney's, because I think he used to have half each, which meant that one side could be slightly higher than the other. You know, which is a bit like Roger Moore's eyebrows, only a bit further down. But I had one that went straight across, I think. I could be wrong about that. But the thing is, it sort of makes the top lip quite rigid, which actually helps if you're playing an army officer. You know, immediately you think, yeah, stiff upper lip, literally. Absolutely literally, could have ironed it. But you're very aware that it's there the whole time, and somebody's saying something to you very intensively, and you're looking at them, and you're thinking, absolutely, it's slipping now, hurry up. You've done that quickly in the past. Come on, keep up, keep up. So it is something that you can't forget about. Fake facial hair.
The fact that she was a tough female character, I've played a few of those. And I tend to be a bit like that anyway. So, I mean, I'd played the role of men in some plays as well. And so that wasn't a tricky thing for me to do. Whether I brought that too much to her, I'm not sure. But no, it was very comfortable for me. I don't know if Rob sort of thought, you know, she's a hard-nosed cow, she can do it.
Shall we get on with it?
Yes, of course.
I could switch characters very quickly, well, in as much as I didn't really have to, because I think every different character I was in a different location. So I had none of that, right, you know, no, you've got to be this quickly. So I was the newsreader at the Ashcroft, a soldier up at Nelson, and an alien in the quarry. So they're all different days, and as far as the alien was concerned, I had no trouble switching at all, because I didn't have to switch from anything. That was just me. I'm an alien.
I'm afraid you're right.
I kept the helmet on all the time because we needed to make sure it was obvious that it wasn't a newsreader who suddenly metamorphosed into an alien. So it was absolutely necessary that I kept my helmet on all the time. The other aliens, what were they called? Thals, I think we were Thals, yeah. They didn't have to keep their helmets on, so they were lucky, because it was quite warm, we were in the quarry. But I had to obviously make that visual break from being the newsreader. And what I also decided to do was to put on an alien voice, or what I considered to be an alien voice, which was just a sort of deeper, stupid voice that you just pull out of the air.
The Daleks have the terranium. They'll be close to completing their work. We might not get another chance.
The newsreader should have been an easy part. We didn't have an auto cue, and I didn't have an awful lot to say It was a paragraph. So it should have been a nice, easy, yeah, we can get this bit done. I think we started that shoot with everybody who was in the next scene was standing around watching. And there was one word I tripped over in the first thing. I think it was the word literally. And then I remember asking everybody kindly if they would leave. Not exactly in those using those words.
You'll have to fuck off. Sorry.
The fact of having to be someone in the military was quite strange, and I know when sort of watching back at the film and seeing how very smartly I sort of did my yes sir sort of thing. This is my way of trying to get to grips with the character, which I don't think was terribly good.
Righto, sir.
That I was the lucky person who got to eat loads of Maltesers. When we're actually inside the TARDIS, I think because I'm a human and we're going to go onto this planet, I had to eat some sort of special space pills or whatever that were going to save me and mean that I could sort of breathe and survive on this alien landscape. And luckily they were Maltesers. And luckily we kept making mistakes in this particular scene. So I really quite enjoyed that. That was a good perk.
They taste the fat. Oh, thank you.
One thing that completely amazed me was when we all had to get inside the TARDIS. Now, bear in mind that the TARDIS was about this big and we all had to be filmed to walk into it. I just thought, how on earth are we going to do that? Because it's very clever, because Rob had set up his camera angles and the TARDIS was very, very close to the camera and we were all miles away, and we've got very strict instructions on where to walk and little sort of chalk marks on the ground to follow. So it made us look as if we were actually walking in through the door of the TARDIS.